So let's talk about reasons where mold testing is valid. So primarily, if you are someone who's mold sensitive, and if you're working with a functional practitioner and the practitioner is looking for additional information about molds in your home that is going to help them treat you, then I absolutely encourage that you take the necessary samples. Now, I don't always have to be the one to take the samples, right? There's a lot of online kits that you can go right to, Envirobiomics, Mycometrics. You can order the test kits yourself, right? But too often clients are left with all this data. They spend thousands of dollars. It doesn't help the practitioner, and it doesn't change the remediation strategy. So very important to understand why you're doing these tests, what you're actually learning, what it's going to change. Reasons I like to test, anywhere documentation is required. So I work a lot for, real estate transactions, buyers, sellers, property managers, right? Insurance companies, facilities, right? There's a lot of eyes on these reports. There's often negotiation. There's often, estimates of jobs are gonna be bid on. We have to have data in these situations, right? I love using testing for exploratory methods. So wall cavity air sampling, agitated sampling methods from floors, from walls. Sometimes we have limited opportunities to be invasive, and these are great ways to use sampling. Sometimes there's a little bit of division in the household, and not both parties are not necessarily on board with what I'm finding. So sometimes we'll take samples just to prove, hey, look, yes, there is mold here. That's obviously going to be at the approval of, one of the parties, to show the other party that, look, yes, there's mold here. But I really don't subscribe to the narrative of testing when mold is visible, air testing in moldy environments, when there's no benefit to the consumer, right? The question is, why are we doing it, right? And I hate to say it, guys, like if you're consultants, you're out there, you're testing, you're doing this every day, and your reason for selling samples is to protect your liability, well, then you should be including them in your fee. Supporting a hypothesis, another thing I hear. Once you've taken 3 air samples from an air handler and they all come back to the same mold, you've tested the hypothesis. You don't need to keep doing it at the next house. But this is where it gets muddy, right? Remember, this is about selling a product. So in my opinion, there's reasons to test, there's reasons not to test. Consultants should know what they're looking at and not play this I don't know what I'm looking at game. I think it's mold, but we need to test it. I don't buy that. I'm sorry. My philosophy is a little bit different than everyone else's, or a lot of people's in the industry. I won't say everyone. My goal is to find sources of mold in your house, help you save money, because there's a lot of other expenses that are going to come with this.